it's Tom from Tom's Tunes. A common problem that people run into when refurbishing their boat is not knowing where to start when unhooking the shift and throttle box, control box, shift throttle cables, and electrical harnesses. I like to look at what's going to be the easiest route to unhook. Some motors, I'm going to unhook my shift throttle cables and electrical from the engine. Sometimes I'm going to unhook it from the control box. We're going to show you a few different motors and how we decide which end we're going to pull the cables from when redoing the floor and reinstalling. This is an older Yamaha, probably from the early mid-90s. And my shift and throttle are actually, my cables are on the outside of the engine. So that's these. These are nice and small. We can unhook easily from there and pull them through. If you're unsure, take some pictures of what everything looks like before you start uninstalling so you can refer back to them when you reinstall. The next thing to think about is the electrical. So this plug goes underneath the hood and runs our ignition, trim and tilt, and everything. It's a 10-pin harness. So for this is gonna pull through very easy as well. I'm gonna choose to pull everything out of the engine and through the boat, and when I re-rig it, I will put everything through back to the engine. The reason being is that this control box, the shift and throttle cables would be pretty easy to remove. However, this electrical harness is a very significant piece, so I don't want to have to try to unhook that or cut it. Definitely don't cut it. But this motor, much easier to remove everything from the engine side and pull it through. Let's go look at another boat and show you how we approach that. This happens to be an older Mariner engine, very similar connections and everything to a Mercury, in fact, the same in most cases. Taking pictures is gonna help you remember which wires hook to which, so we could unhook our wires from our trim and tilt, and then we could unhook our 8-pin harness. And I'm gonna do the same thing as that Yamaha. This is a much smaller piece to pull through all the holes and the rigging grommets in the boat. I'm gonna unhook everything from this side, pull it out, and then when I reinstall my control box, I'll run everything back through. We're gonna look at one more motor that's a little bit different. This motor is a little bit newer, and it's an Evinrude E-Tech. This will be very similar if you have any of the later model Evinrudes or even Johnson engines, because they run what's called systems check, and that's actually a control box that's just as simple as a couple connectors and undoing our shift and throttle cables from inside of here. So on this engine, I actually am gonna leave everything connected to the engine. So I haven't unhooked anything on the engine side. I unhooked everything from the control box, a whole bunch of connectors under the dash. Take pictures, you'll remember where to plug them back in, or look at the corresponding colors of the wires. And that is gonna be the easiest way to approach this type of engine. A lot of your new engines on the market today, or newer engines, are gonna have quick connect plugs just like this for your gauges, your shift and throttle box, your ignition. So those, a lot of times we're gonna unhook at the dash, pull everything back through to the motor, and when we put everything back together, just run it back under the deck up to the dash. Hopefully this helps when you're tearing your boat down.